With the Overwatch meta currently being dominated by Goats comp, 3 tanks, 3 supports for those that aren't familiar with it, I can hear you all saying, have you seen where Brigitte was for so long? We don't need another one of those situations. Going forward, please note that I'm just presenting information about whether or not supports need a buff, and there are so many different sides to this argument. If you agree or disagree with my stance, let me know in the comments, but please be respectful and offer constructive feedback. To be honest, my problem with Brigitte was the way her kit launched. The combination of her damage, self-healing, shield, and armor, all in addition to her incredibly powerful stun, made for a really frustrating matchup. When I first saw Brig's character design and explanation of her abilities, I thought that her shield bash was going to be more like a concentrated boop. Not like Lucio or Pharah's boop that could impact multiple targets at once, but one really forceful reposition to a single character. And with her flail/whip, I thought it would be more effective if a character that was hit by it would be slowed, because we all know how much stun is already in the game, and I figured a slow mechanic to a single person would be an interesting ability, but not as frustrating to play against as a 1-second stun. I know I'm focusing on Brig's character design right now, but it's primarily because my personal belief is that a support should be able to defend themselves or escape from a flanker/DPS, but not necessarily have a guaranteed win every time, because then what's the point of even choosing a DPS? Ana is a prime example of having defensive capabilities. She has the potential of shutting down flankers or characters that dive her, but it takes time for her to actually burn a character down, and if any of her abilities are on cooldown or miss, she's in a really tough spot. I know I've already talked about Brig, but if her kit was how I imagined it would be, her shield bash would strongly displace characters like Tracer without immediately killing them. If her bash knocked the Tracer back so far that they would have to recommit 1 or 2 blinks or more to get back to you, I think that could have been an option to threaten to burn movement abilities instead of outright killing a character. So this is all to ask. Do supports need a buff? In all honesty, I think supports are in a really good place right now, but thanks to power and movement creep, they often suffer at the lower ranks where defending or peeling for your supports just doesn't happen as much. When playing at the master level, my second support can usually help me out in almost every situation, or a diva or mobile DPS often helps us out in a pinch. But I find that when I'm playing at the lower ranks or even in quick play, although I've been having a blast in quick play because everyone is more or less having fun, so don't judge too hard. It can be really frustrating as a Zenyatta main, constantly dying to flankers or Winston or Diva simply because they have the mobility. Zen's Discord is really strong, but the level of technical aim and positioning that is required to even pose a threat to many flanks is significantly higher than that required of a Tracer who has incredible movement, or Genji whose kit is really strong against Zen. While I feel pretty confident in my ability to win a handful of duels against flankers, I really do have to consider the feelings of new players that pick up Zen and hop into games saturated with experienced players. If a new player is constantly being killed as Zen, but then find themselves shutting these same players down when they pick Brig, why would they stick with Zen? I think supports would benefit from having some quality of life improvements. I think Moira, Lucio, and Ana are in really good spots right now because of their abilities to defend themselves or escape, but Brig is still in a weird spot, but I've already mentioned how I would change her. Mercy's movement is still really enjoyable for me, and if anything, I would slightly increase her base healing output to like 55 instead of 50, and adjust Valkyrie to be a little more impactful with increased single target healing, or the very popular res rework where Mercy can resurrect one character at a time in like a Genji Blade-like style. And for Zen, I'm not entirely sure. His Discord and Ultimate are still 2 of the strongest abilities in the game, so if anything, I would revert his right-click nerf back, just because I don't remember there being a whole lot of outcry for the ability even needing nerfing, but Jonak is still one of the few, if not only, professional Overwatch players to really land those game-changing right clicks. And if supports are left alone for a while, I wouldn't mind seeing some adjustments to high burst kits like Widow or Hanzo. Zen has to charge his right click, does not have the ability to hold it forever, and then has to land almost all of the projectiles to actually get a pick. While I think high burst damage is necessary right now with the strength of healing output in the game, one-shot abilities have always been a weird mechanic to play around because some of them aren't high risk, high reward like they could be. I don't think any of the supports can consistently duel a Widow or Hanzo from a distance, and as we all know, we can't always rely on our teammates to shut them down when we really need them to. I've realized that Overwatch is really more of a cluster of 1v1 and 1v2 duels because of the higher levels of the game. Most of the time, all you need is one pick to secure a win, and I hate feeling helpless when a teammate gets picked and I can't do a whole lot to help secure a pick of our own, or change the game in our favor without using my ult. In most situations, support ults can save an entire team from being wiped by a Nano Genji, but it doesn't stop them from dying after the ult runs out, and it's really frustrating if we still haven't gotten a pick. I can sit on a DPS with Transcendence for 6 seconds, but if they're struggling to hit shots or secure kills, I've kept them alive for nothing, and that's really frustrating. But I also think that's part of the ultimate design. If a Genji uses Blade but stands still, there is no value, unless of course the enemy reactively uses a support ult. But unfortunately, that doesn't work the other way around. If I use Transcendence or Lucio B early, the enemy team just says, hey, they wasted their support ult, let's Nanoblade and win the game. So, what do you think? Is power/movement creep going to be more of a problem for supports? Especially considering supports are usually the first targets. Should they all have a way to defend themselves or escape? I hope this video sparked some healthy debate, and I'd love to hear what you think. Again, please be respectful and constructive with your feedback. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, the link is in the description. I also have a Discord server if you are interested in talking with other players who also enjoy playing Zen. This is my first video, so please be kind and offer constructive feedback on how I can improve things. And finally, have a great day, everyone.